The story starts with 11-year-old reincarnated boy Ryoma Takebayashi. He lives alone in the forest. Also, he tamed over 1,000 slimes. Ryoma feeds his slimes with different types of food, causing the slimes to evolve into rare types with special abilities. Ryoma developed cleaner slime that washes his dishes, and his scavenger slime can eat his garbage. Ryoma lived peacefully with his slimes in the forest. Then Ryoma discovered a group of men in the forest, who had an injured friend with them. Ryoma wanted to help them. The knights were wary of Ryoma first, so Ryoma tried to tell them that he has medicine. Ryoma hadn't talked to people for a long time, and didn't know how to pronounce correct sentences. He then showed his medicine to the knights, and one of the knights checked the medicine. Followed one of the men thanked him, and Ryoma invited the group over to his apartment. Following this, Ryoma led them to his apartment, and the knights were surprised that Ryoma lived alone in the forest as a child. Suddenly, Ryoma's sticky slimes appeared and the knights wanted to attack them, but Ryoma cleared up the misunderstanding. The group apologized and one of the men told him that he is also a monster tamer, and his first monster was a slime too. After that, when they arrived at a cliff, Ryoma showed them his hidden apartment behind a spell, and they were surprised by Ryoma's home. Then one of the men noticed that Ryoma only has furniture for one person, and when Ryoma gave them healing potions, they were surprised that he made them himself. Then Ryoma introduced themselves, and he learned that Reinhard Jamil, the head of a noble family, is sitting in front of him. He thanked Ryoma for his help. Then the other men introduced themselves. They were the Knights of Jamil. However, Ryoma learned that they was attacked by bandits in the forest, and their friend Hughes was injured. After that, Reinhardt wanted to know where he learned magic. Ryoma told them he learned it from his grandparents. He told them that they passed away 3 years ago, and as a result, he lives alone. Reinhardt thought Ryoma's story sad, and he didn't want to let a child live alone in such a dangerous forest. Ryoma said it isn't a big problem, so the magician Camille showed Ryoma a magic item to analyze his abilities. The reason was they wanted to make sure Ryoma could handle the forest on his own. They noticed that Ryoma had a very strong mental resilience that worried them. Following, Reinhardt wanted to think of a plan how he can take care of Ryoma. Therefore, Reinhardt decided to go back to his home and consult with his family about Ryoma's situation. When Hughes recovered, they said goodbye to Ryoma and thanked him for his great helping. Afterwards, Ryoma felt guilty that he couldn't tell them the truth, that his grandparents didn't die. The truth is, Ryoma lived in Japan and was an overworked office worker. He had to work overtime every day and died from overwork. Then he was told his by the gods, and they were surprised that Ryoma was so calm after hearing he is dead. Ryoma said that his death didn't come as a surprise to him because he worked in a company that exploited him. Then the creator god Gain introduced himself. They were gods from another world and told him that he died a miserable death from sneezing in the night. Ryoma couldn't believe his death was so pathetic and he was embarrassed. When he regained his senses, Ryoma was allowed to receive a reincarnation. The gods told him that he would get a new body and he'd be reborn as an 8-year-old boy. He will be sent to another world and will still have all his memories. Before Ryoma was sent to the other world, the gods helped him invent a story about his past and gave him advice and knowledge for his new life. Ryoma was also not allowed to tell anyone about his reincarnation, and he was sent to the other world. Thus, Ryoma was reborn in the world Sealfall. Arrived in the other world, the gods left Ryoma with a book of knowledge about the world and some equipment. Ryoma then tests his powers. He also discovered slimes and using his book of instructions. However, Ryoma learned how to tame monsters by using magic. This was the reason why Ryoma lived alone in the forest. A few days later, Reinhardt's father and wife showed up. Ryoma also met his daughter Eliaria, and he was happy to meet them all. Then the Jamil family noticed that Ryoma has a lot of slimes, and they wondered if all the slimes would fit in his apartment. Ryoma then ordered his slimes to merge together. Then Elise was impressed by Ryoma as she had never seen anyone own a big slime. After that, they said that their family are monster tamers, and Eliaria wanted to tame her first slime. Unfortunately, they didn't find any in the forest, as a result, so they asked Ryoma if he can show them. Ryoma showed them on a map where the slimes appear. Also, Eliaria wanted Ryoma's advice about the slimes, since she doesn't know that much about slimes. The reason was Ryoma had unknown slimes that never existed before. So Ryoma introduced his 2 newly created slimes, namely the scavenger slime and his cleaner slimes. Everyone was surprised by the cleaner slime, since his slime could remove very stubborn dirt immediately. Also, Ryoma showed the Jamil family that the slimes are harmless and they only eat dirt. Following Eliaria, wanted to catch a slime that evolves into a cleaner slime. She asked him about the conditions for evolving such a slime, but Ryoma was uncomfortable, and he told the men the conditions first. When Hughes explained to the women that she had to feed the slime with their dirty bathwater, all the women blushed. So everyone slapped Hughes and he learned to be more sensitive the next time. Eliaria was uncomfortable attracting the slimes with her sweat in the water, but she was determined to catch one on her own. Ryoma knew from his previous life that doing everything alone was difficult, and she wished Eliaria good luck to catch a slime. She then set out with a bucket full of dirty water, and managed to tame her first slime by the evening. In the evening, Ryoma was asked if he would like to travel with the Jamil family, so Eliaria convinced Ryoma to travel with her family. When Reinhardt offered Ryoma to store his luggage in his servant Sebas' his item box, the Jamil family learned that Ryoma had an own item box. They were surprised that Ryoma could use advanced magic, and Elise took a liking to Ryoma. Ryoma was happy with his decision, and he started packing up all his furniture and accumulated items. Then he said goodbye to the statues of the gods he was creating. The next day, Ryoma was ready for his journey, and the Jamil family picked Ryoma up. Then Sebas used a dimension spell and 2 carriages with horses appeared of his portal. On the way to the next town of Gimel, the Jamil family learned that Ryoma has mastered all the elements of magic. Also, Ryoma told that he can still use alchemy. The Jamil family was impressed by Ryoma for possessing so many rare talents. As night fell, the carriage suddenly stopped, and Eliaria fell into Ryoma's arms. They were blushing. The Jamil family learned that there were problems due to an earthquake. Ryoma offered to help them, and he pulled out a raincoat that he made by his sticky slimes. Then Ryoma looked at the problem, and created a barrier that protects them to get wet from the rain. Following this, Ryoma used earth spells, and he turned the earth into bricks. Ryoma used his slimes and was able to solve the problem. Everyone was impressed by Ryoma, and they thanked them because they were really happy that Ryoma accompanied them on their journey. In the morning, Ryoma arrived in the city of Gimel, and he visited a new town for the first time since he was reborn in the world of Seyfal. Then Ryoma went to church with the Jamil family. They wanted to find out Ryoma's stats and make them an ID card. Following this, Ryoma was taken to a room where he created his ID using a crystal stone. Ryoma was summoned to the gods, and they were happy to be able to talk to Ryoma again. Ryoma thought he had died again, but the gods explained to him that only his consciousness was summoned to them and his body is unharmed. Ryoma learned that he can always talk with the gods in the church. Then the gods praised Ryoma as they found it amazing that he had tamed all the new slimes, and was able to create unknown slimes, like the cleaner and scavenger slimes. In addition, Ryoma learned that an ancestor of the Jamil family also came from Earth. It was a young girl then. She was also sent by the gods to Seinfall, who had invented monster taming. They married into the Jamil family and are therefore also under the protection of the gods, like Ryoma. Additionally, Ryoma learned that Eliaria possesses powers similar to those of her Earth ancestors. Ryoma was happy for his friend that she is blessed with a lot of talent. After this, the gods said that there were several peoples from the Earth. Once they sent an otaku into the world who wished for strong magic. He was extremely strong, but he couldn't overcome his fears from his previous life as an otaku and lived a boring life. The gods were happy that Ryoma is different, and he tries many new things. Ryoma was praised, and they thanked him for entertaining them so much. Before Ryoma was sent back, he learned that other gods are interested in him too. When Ryoma's consciousness was back in his own body, his status transfer was transmitted, and he learned all of his status values. Later at the Jamil Manor, Ryoma was recommended to join a guild. Also, Elise said to take care of himself that others don't take advantage of him. The reason was Ryoma had far too special powers that are unusual at his age. However, Eliaria wanted to know about Ryoma's magic capacity. Eliaria admired Ryoma for being so good with using magic. Unfortunately, Eliaria wasn't that skilled, and Ryoma suggested that they could practice magic together in their free time. Eliaria was happy about Ryoma's offer to practice together. The next day, Ryoma was on his way to the Tamer guild with the family Jamil, so Eliaria signed up as a monster tamer. But Ryoma had a problem, because the rank is determined by the monster's strength. Ryoma is a slime tamer and he was unable to rank up into the guild due to the weak slimes. So Reinbach had the idea of Ryoma to join the Adventurers Guild, because it suits Ryoma better. However, Ryoma had to show his fighting skills in order to be accepted into the Adventurers Guild. In his first test, Ryoma had to hit various targets with a bow and arrow. Ryoma had no problem with the practice and he hit all the targets with ease. The guildmaster and Jamil family were impressed by Ryoma's high-level skills. After that, Ryoma should hit moving targets with his bow. Ryoma hit all the targets and was able to pass the second test. After hitting all the targets, he was attacked by the guildmaster. Ryoma managed to fend off the attack, and he was able to pass all the tests. Followed, Ryoma was registered as an adventurer, and he immediately got his G-rank adventurer ID card. Then Ryoma was explained that he must complete quests to increase his rank. After that, Ryoma looked around the guild, and he decided to select a cleaning quest as the first order. The next day he met Mia. She was overjoyed to see Ryoma willing to help her with her garbage problem. Ryoma learned that the garbage dump next to her house was no longer cleared by anyone. Also that garbage entered Mia's house through a broken wall. Ryoma summoned his cleaner and scavenger slimes, and he ordered his scavenger slimes to eat all of the trash. After the trash was cleared, Ryoma used his cleaner slimes to clean the dump. He also fixed the wall of the garbage dump and Mia's house with his sticky slimes. Ryoma was able to complete his first quest quickly, and Mia was extremely happy with Ryoma's help. She wept with joy and thanked him. After that, Ryoma said goodbye and went to the guild to collect his reward. Ryoma got a huge reward in the guild, and he learned that Mia had increased the reward because of his good work. Then he was called by Guildmaster Worgen. He praised Ryoma because nobody managed to get the dump clean until now. Following this, Ryoma was given a special quest, as Worgen asked if Ryoma could clean the public toilet pits. Ryoma learned that no one accepts the quest because the job comes from the town government. They are very stingy, and the slum dwellers, who are usually in charge of the job, refuse. The reason was the bad working conditions. Hearing about the bad conditions, Ryoma had to remember his old job. Ryoma accepted the assignment, and he wanted to help Worgen take care of the problem. Also, Ryoma had to tell about the bad conditions in front of the Jamil family. In the evening, Ryoma reported about the job to the Jamil family. Reinhardt had a suspicion that a member of the town government was embezzling money and had his official investigate it. The Jamil family immediately agreed to help the slum dwellers and prepared countermeasures. The next day, Ryoma stood in front of the public toilets, and he was shocked by the bad smell of the toilets. Ryoma then got ready and summoned his slimes. Then he put on protective clothing against the stench, and he started into the first pit. A foul stench came out, and Ryoma immediately ordered his scavenger slimes to eat the dirt. Ryoma then used his wash skill and disinfected the room. Ryoma quickly managed to clean the first pit, and his scavenger slimes multiplied from the many nutrients they ate. After that, he looked at their statistics of his slimes, and he noticed that there are toxic substances in the pits. Ryoma reported the poisonous miasma in the pit to the guildmaster and the Jamil family. Elise and Eliaria were concerned about Ryoma inhaling some of the poisonous substance. Ryoma was happy for their care and assured them that he is healthy. Then Worgen and the Jamil family wanted Ryoma to abort the mission because of the dangerous substances in the pits. Ryoma wanted to continue because the toilets pose a danger to the town's residents. The Jamil family tried to talk Ryoma out of the dangerous job, so Ryoma showed his high poison resistance that he possessed. As a result, the Jamil family accepted his decision to continue with the assignment. The next morning, Guildmaster Worgen sent more adventurers to assist Ryoma. So Ryoma took care of cleaning the pits, while the adventurers guarded the entrances to the pits so that no one would get sick from the poisonous substances. Ryoma became faster and faster in cleaning the pits because the slimes multiplied, and by owning 1,000 scavenger slimes they could fuse together to form a king slime. While Ryoma did the cleaning, Elise and Eliaria brought Ryoma potions and lunch every day. Ryoma worked hard, and the other adventurers were amazed at how hardworking Ryoma is. After 3 days, Ryoma finished cleaning the pits and managed to remove all poisonous substances. Followed then, Mia was very proud of Ryoma that he managed to clean everything. Ryoma then immediately went to report to Guildmaster Worgen about his completed quest. Ryoma returned exhausted to the Jamil family mansion. On the way home, he remembered how his mother would be waiting for him every morning. When she died, Ryoma was sad because there was no one who greeted him warmly when he came home. Then he opened the door. Eliaria and the others waited for Ryoma's return from his hard work. Ryoma was happy with his life in the new world because he found a loving family and he started to cry. Ryoma thanked them to meet the nice family of Jamil, so Elise and Eliaria hugged him. In that moment, he remembered the warm feeling in his heart that he always felt through his